We are joined right now by John Makin. He is a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. He's also a former consultant to the U.S. Treasury Department and the Congressional Budget Office, as well as the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. John is on the phone with us now from Washington. John, thanks so much for joining us. As we just alluded to, you've seen all kinds of budget discussions. Are we going to have a shutdown in 18 hours?
Yeah, it looks like we probably could have. It's between a shutdown in 18 hours and getting some kind of a stopgap measure for another week. Right now, it's really the political calculations that are underway. The substantive differences aren't that great.
Do you say, I want to come back to this stopgap idea in just a moment, because we know President Obama said that he would veto such a measure. But if we do have a shutdown, is the next most important question for how long?
Sure. Yeah, for how long? I think you were saying this morning it's about $6 billion a week out of the economy. It's disruptive. You don't get numbers and so on and so forth. So and once you get a shutdown, once you cross that line, it's very difficult to predict how long it's going to take. Probably a matter of weeks. I think the Congress is going on recess at the end of next week, so they probably would scramble to get things fixed and going before the end of the week. But once the shutdown occurs, what both sides do is read the political feedback. And if one side or the other is losing, then the ones who aren't getting
become more cooperative.
Yeah, they get more cooperative, and then they come to the table and we get the deal done.
All right. Well, I want to talk about this stopgap spending bill because you mentioned it. President Obama said he would veto it. Is he trying to get Congress to just simply do its job? In other words, pass a budget, which they are legally required to do?
Well, as I say, the Congress ought to have passed a budget last October, because this is the fiscal year we're in. It was a Democratic Congress with the president in charge of the White House, so they didn't pass a budget. Now we have to pass stopgap measures every week, and that means that the new Congress, which wants to cut spending, can and has cut spending. The substantive issue here is that we're cutting probably about we're going to end up cutting $35 billion out of the budget over 6 months, which will put that's a drag of about a ½ percentage point on GDP, but it brings the deficit down.
So it sounds like you feel like there's enough blame to go around, and that the Democrats, as you just alluded to, didn't pass the budget even when they were in control of Congress. But moving forward, and you just gave us a good statistic there, I mean, a lot seems to be at stake for so little money. Does this surprise you, or is this just the way things go?
Doesn't surprise me. The budget's a big issue. Unfortunately, this kind of procedural discussion is occluding the big show, which is what are we going to do with next year's budget that Paul Ryan put forward earlier this week. So this is like a preliminary skirmish in what's going to be a huge battle. And everybody's being very careful how they proceed here.
Democrats are saying that some differences are taking place right now, and some of the stumbling blocks, I should say, are over Republican-backed measures, supposedly environmental regulations, abortion, including one measure to deny funding to Planned Parenthood. Is it possible that the U.S. government gets shut down over these very party-specific opinions, party-specific issues?
It's possible, and it's happened before. Yes, it can happen. Again, it's the blame game. If one side thinks they can win points by shutting down the government, then the government probably gets shut down until everybody decides that the damage is too great.
John, thanks so much for your time, for your insight. John Makin joining us there on the phone from Washington, D.C. He is a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute.